Welcome to the Woodpreneur podcast, the number one podcast for the business and marketing side of the lumber, woodworking, hardwood flooring, and sawmill industry. I'm your host, Steve from Acres of Timber. Each week, we feature various wood business owners and entrepreneurs from around the globe. We share their stories, paths, insights so that you can network, learn, and grow your own wood business. Thank you so much for listening. Now enjoy the episode. Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of the Woodpreneur podcast. This is your host, Steve Laraziliere. Today's guest is Dan Bullen Webb from Iluka, London, right? Is that how you say it? Iluka?
Spot on.
Awesome.
Got it in one.
Well, any chance to get some diversity and accents on the podcast, I'm all for it. So tell everybody about your company, Iluka London, and Iluka Tools.
So Iluka is an Aboriginal word. I'm Australian, by the way, but I live in England. Just to mix up the accents even more. Iluka is an Aboriginal word, Australian Aboriginal word that means by the sea, basically, and it's also the name of a little fishing village near where I grew up on the east coast of Australia. And it's a lovely little spot. So that's kind of what we named the business when we were looking for a name. As you know, it's a hard one to lock in when you're first starting out. But we started out with these, we work predominantly with wood first and foremost, and then mix it with either acrylic or resin or metals or anything like that. So wood's kind of the hero of our pieces. And we started out with table lamps. We did a range of them for launch, and then we've moved into furniture, other forms of lighting like pendants and stuff, and a whole lot of accessories and stuff like that. So, but of course, all the tables. This is one on the go at the moment, a mega table. Everyone wants these river tables, as you've probably seen around.
It just hit in London?
No, we started about 5 or 6 years ago, and before the trend was really taking off, and we started experimenting with resin and stuff before it really popped off. So it seems like every man and his dog's making a river table in his garage these days. But we try to do things a bit different, keep it original, and try to focus really on top quality timber and really nice bases, and aiming for a bit higher end than Joe Blow in his garage on the weekend.
Yeah, that's awesome. How many years have you been around?
So we've been going about 5 or 6 years from memory.
What'd you do before?
I was a graphic designer before.
Okay.
And my wife was an interior designer in London. And we took some time off, went traveling through Central America, and thought she wasn't really, she wanted to change and I wanted to change. It was all becoming a bit too digital for me and online. And it was just, a lot of time in front of the computer, which I wasn't really getting, a lot of satisfaction from, I guess.
Enjoyment, right? You weren't feeling fulfilled.
Yeah, exactly. I knew I wanted to do something with my hands and make a product rather than provide a service, basically. But so my wife Sarah had the idea and said, why don't we? She basically was selling a lamp through her work, and she was like, people are paying good money for these, and I did some research and stuff about, acrylic and stuff. And we thought, why not combine it with wood and see if that's possible and stuff. So, and we work with a lot of burr wood, a lot of Aussie timbers as well. And so, that was kind of how it all kicked off. That was 5 or 6 years ago. And Iluka Tools was born out of the workshop, I guess you'd say, because I was wanting to make an attachment for my sander, which is Merca, the Merca Deros sanders, and I approached Merca or wrote to them on Instagram, whatever, and just said, "Are you, do you have an edge sanding guide for the Deros, or do you plan to make one?" And they said, "No, not at the moment." So I thought, wow, I'll use my design skills and buy a 3D printer and knock one up. So that's kind of where that was born. And I shared it online, and people said, "Oh, I want to buy one. How can I buy one?" Yada yada yada, and then started selling a few and improved the design over time. And then people started requesting ones for different sanders for their model of sander. So I've got about, I don't know, a dozen different models now for different model sanders, and now I've brought out a 45-degree option, and that's ticking along nicely. And there's a few things in the works, looking at US distribution now and making a semi-universal version to get injection molded and release it as a proper product. So
yeah,
all very exciting.
That's cool, man. Dude, that's so cool. I was just looking on your Instagram, and the Lennox chair is amazing.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that was a recent product, probably just over a year old, and we did a table for a client, and he said, "I want to commission you to make my dining chairs." So it was a great first, it's a great way to develop a product and launch it, knowing that you have an instant sale at the end of it, for eight chairs or whatever. So, and I'd been meaning to, but it's great when you're forced to get on with it, design it, and prototype it, and then launch it. It was quite rewarding, that one. Yeah.
What's that material?
It's steel. It's
wow.
Laser cut steel. So I designed in Fusion 360 in a environment in Fusion 360 called sheet metal. So it's basically it's all folded. It's laser cut and then folded in to get that shape, and then I weld it together. Obviously, it's not. Yeah, weld it.
That looks like the back legs are, so the top is one piece, and then you welded the back legs, right? Is that what you did?
It basically comes in 3 parts, and I weld them together. It gets bent, and then the back rest part is like incrementally bent. So it's a nice sweep on your back. So yeah, it's surprisingly comfortable.
It looks really, really cool. It looks and then what kind of and then you put like a brass finish on that?
Yeah, it's like a patina. It's like a hand done patina to make it look like kind of aged brass. But we offer loads of different finishes. It's just
finishes,
what's popular, really.
Do you do finishes inside?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
You mean
how big is your team? Even that gray one is pretty cool too. That gray with the silver gray chair, the Lennox chair.
The leather.
Yeah, with the blue leather, the turquoise blue leather. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm nerding. I don't normally do this, but I'm like nerding out on your designs. They're like really cool. Like I originally wanted to talk to you about your tools, but like now I'm like your work is amazing. So it seems like you work with a lot of designers and architects, right? Is that what you help bring their vision to life? Is that the model?
Yeah, exactly. We work with a lot of interior designers, and they, have discerning clients with, expensive taste, hopefully.
Yeah.
And they like a lot of bespoke stuff, so it's all made to order. All our stuff is kind of bespoke by nature anyway. It's all made to order, and it's all different because of the wood and whatever. So yeah, we a lot of kind of interior designers or just private clients that find our website and just want something completely metal, the type of wood, but yeah, it's all very interesting because it's not just pumping out the same thing over and over. I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
I
And
prefer
then
that side of.
you prefer the bespoke side?
Yeah, I just prefer making new stuff every time. I guess just because it's interesting to me, and designing and then taking a design, make a prototype, and then a product. I love the chairs. I love that design process. But then if I get an order for a set of dining chairs, I'm like, oh, I've got to, that they're a repeatable product, so you kind of got to go through the motions of just pumping out the same thing. But yeah,
It's funny. So, I met another guy who was a designer, art director, like a graphic designer, art director that approached woodworking and designing products. And it's interesting because when you're a graphic designer, art director, you came like from the advertising, the visual creative world. Like
yeah,
one, your eye is different as it approaches like from a branding perspective, like your company's brand stands out more, but two, your products have a unique aesthetic, and they seems to be like a through line. And I feel like that's kind of like an edge that graphic designer or just designers have in general,
yeah,
as opposed to,
sure,
I mean, again, this is no diss to anybody that's listening to this podcast, but it's more like it's just something that I see, is that there's an aesthetic there that you what looks good based off of what you were taught, right? And there are
yeah,
like certain things and certain rules, and then
yeah,
you blend them based off of your own particular style, and that's
yeah,
that's a really really interesting, I think, advantage that you have, right? And so
100%. Yeah, I
um
think that history of design, in any shape or form, it just makes you aware. Like you're basically taught in college when you're doing. I did like a diploma or whatever in Australia, and they said, start, open your eyes, start looking, and you have to build up your opinion of what you like and what you don't like,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
think when you start. I used to be really into my like typography and fonts, and you just notice. I still do. It's just once it's in there, I guess it's hard to avoid, you know. But yeah, you just kind of got to, yeah, just always form an opinion on a shape or a color or a font, whatever. It's a good way to be. And when you appreciate good design, I think it's quite a nice thing.
yeah. Well, and I think honestly too, what it does is like make your work stand out, and it's more of a conversation piece, and could potentially help you differentiate yourself, because there's a lot of people that can make tables, right? But
Mhm.
not a lot of people can create a style of
Yeah,
product. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
the whole
It's really
package.
fascinating. Yeah. I mean, there's another guy. He's been on the podcast, Martin Goebel. Do you know him?
Martin, go
Goebel
go.
Furniture.
How do you
Goebel.
spell that?
Yeah, Goebel. Um, and he's in St. Louis, and he's like a designer, furniture maker. You know what I mean? And like
Yeah,
he's got such a unique perspective, and it's almost like, I don't want to, again, I hope this isn't coming off wrong to anybody that's listening in the audience, but like I went to his shop and he's got a wall full of furniture design books from so like it's not like he's just a furniture maker who's just coming up with ideas. Like he can tell you about the history and the different, modern mid-century and like all of everything. It's like he's a student, and it seems like from your perspective, like you're a student too of design, right?
Yeah. You I think you have to, draw inspiration from everywhere, not just your furniture books, but yeah. And I think once you get into that design kind of mind frame, it just stays with you 100%. You become a magpie of choosing things and storing things away for Sorry, that was the
What was that?
That was the compressor turning on.
That's right.
So yeah, I think it's definitely. I think having that history has definitely helped get a head start in what we do, what we set out to do and launch with.
For sure. So tell us about the operations. Who's in the business right now?
So it's just me and my wife. I sometimes have a shop assistant who comes like once or twice a week and helps out with bigger jobs, and I get him on the sander and stuff. But apart from that, it's just me and the wife, really. So yeah, she does all the accounting now, and we got a 2-year-old daughter, so she's looks after her as well.
Cool. Wow. And when you look at your sort of production capability, I mean, is everything? I mean, are you more for like less clients, higher ticket, or are you trying to balance between cranking out more work? Maybe lower tier.
That's we've always aimed for kind of higher end and less product, but I do hit a bit of a wall with production and stuff like that. Basically if we wanted to expand, i.e. get full-time employees and ramp up production, then a lot of things would have to change. We'd need a bigger workshop, and then you get into insurance and all fun and exciting things like that, and business rates and all that malarkey. But so we're kind of getting to that point at the moment of it's a tough industry because it's not really the type of business that you want to kind of create and then just hand over to someone else and you're sitting there taking the profits. I am the business, so you can't really. It's a real touchy one to kind of to talk about expansion or to you couldn't really sell I don't think you could never really sell a woodworking business, could you? If you're, it's not your cash cow business where you hit a level and then, start selling equity. It's tough game. I don't think anyone gets into woodworking to become a millionaire.
Which is an interesting thing because I mean we could talk a lot about that because I often think about just the future longevity of these businesses that are so owner operated and dependent, right?
Yep.
For me, I'm always like, oh, it would be nice to build a business that you can take on vacation and you're still making money, right? And you're not having to dip into savings or like know that you're not working. The other part that I think a lot about, talent, there are a lot of people that that could benefit from learning and creating opportunities and creating livelihoods based off of the thing that came out of your brain, like it's in an interesting way. It's like, oh, it's a fascinating proposition. Like, oh, the thing that came out of my brain is now providing an opportunity for somebody else to learn, grow, like that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, I mean, it's mainly that's really it. A lot of times in the woodpreneur space, the tradition, even when I talk to people outside, they're like, oh, you mean like woodworkers, right? People in their garage, right? Like people trying to, do like, it's like the solo guy working by himself. And I mean, I'd be lying if I said I'm not trying to change that, but I am trying to change that perception of people. Is that some, if you look at, like IKEA, or IKEA is not a good example, or like West Elm or Crate and Barrel, or some of these like high-end furniture places that make billions of dollars a year, like you have as much talent as, if not more than they do. And if you took like 0.001% of their business, that would be like an amazing business for yourself, and so that's just kind of my approach, my mindset as it relates to that. Tell us about the tools. Tools are very cool. I think that's how I actually came across you, because you did the you had like a router table, or like a router sander.
Yeah, so that's a new addition, which I haven't released yet because it's so new. So over Christmas, I've always had the flattening jig, right, for flattening large, which is a manual. It runs off extruded aluminium, but you manually push it back and forth, right, and it's just mind-numbingly repetitive. And I thought, it's all set up to roll smoothly, and it's basically like a manual CNC, right? So I've always I've always wanted to automate it. And I thought over Christmas, right, this is it. I'm gonna get stuck in and work out how to do this. And just bought a couple of stepper motors. So obviously, with the 3D printing background, a 3D printer is a CNC machine, right? So you know about axes and stepper motors and timing belts and all that fun stuff. So it gives you a little insight, a little head start as well. And I basically just bought like a little control board and hooked it all up and did some tests and basically got it all working after a bit of trial and error. So automated. I originally did the router, so it automates that. You basically put G code into it and say, right, this is the length of the table, this is the width. I want this, I've got a 60 millimeter cutter head, and I want a step over of 40% or whatever of the cutter head. So that was it, and it worked. Yeah, worked great. So I got excited and thought, well, what if I stuck a sander on this? Because of course I got the 3D models.
Yeah.
With the attachment to connect to the sander. So worked that out and 3D printed a kind of the kind of component to attach to the x-axis, and that was it. So got that working as well. So I've got automated sanding and flattening now. So it's all
now. You definitely don't need to hire anybody. So
exactly, it's an employee
no health insurance. Like, well,
exactly. I don't have to.
You're like, pay once. Yeah. Be like, I can get sanding done when I'm on vacation. Like,
let me just get my charger. Yeah, so basically sands or flattens while I can be working on something else. So I basically doubled my production.
Your efficiency.
Yeah, proficiency.
That's awesome, man. And
yeah,
what
go on.
I was gonna say, between all of these, like, are you what are you passionate about between both of them? It sounds like you just love to tinker and build stuff. Like that's what it sounds like. Like
exactly.
you get off like, and it give you the space and the time and the money, you'd go out and you just build anything that you put your heart into, right? Is that your mindset?
Yeah, exactly. I just love a challenge and doing new stuff. New techniques and new materials, and just tinkering and just solving problems that need solving. Not you see a lot of people like invent stuff or whatever, and they're like you basically trying to solve a problem that isn't even there, but these things that I'm messing around with genuinely are helpful. I definitely want to release I think I'm going to put together a guide for this the CNC that I built, and tell people how they can do it for themselves, because it doubles your output. So and I think everyone and no one likes sanding, and if you can just put your random orbit sander on automatically and it does a job for you, then you've just saved hours. You save loads of money and time as you use it. So I think it would be beneficial to every woodworker that doesn't like sanding.
It's funny that you say that. It's funny you say that, because I always say, like, the first thing that you should outsource is your sanding. Like, it is a very low wage task. It's for if you look at the grand scheme of things in terms of building, it is the lowest. It has high impact, but it's like it's high effort, and it's not a good use of time at all. At all.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, it's either that or you're learning another language while you're sanding, right? Or like you're getting an advanced degree while listening to, different podcasts and audiobooks or whatever. Like, that's the only way that you make you get your money back, is you have to make you have to do other things. That's cool, man. So you're like very super creative tinkerer builder, and you have this great design aesthetic. Cool. So tell me, this is a part of the podcast where you get to ask any marketing or business advice. Is there anything that I can help you with? Anything that you'd like to think through?
Really thought about that. I guess with the tools, I guess it'd be good to pick your brain about that and how to progress that a bit more seriously. I told you about the plans to kind of get it injection molded and stuff, and I've got to ramp up the finishing the design and stuff. But I guess because that is one business that it is almost passive income, which is a completely different business model to the woodworking, because the woodworking's just all me. If you don't come in the workshop and work, then it doesn't get made. Whereas the 3D printers just run 24/7 and can pump out the product. They still take it still takes 15-20 minutes to post process and package and stuff, print the labels and get them out. But I guess what if there's any advice you could offer of how to
approach growing the tools part?
Say again?
It's how to approach growing the tools part of your brand.
I guess so. And if I had some new ideas like the auto sander, how to push that forward as well. Do you think selling the guide and the sanding attachment as part of the CNC thing would be best, or would you prefer it completely packaged up and me resell kind of third-party components, if that makes sense. Because I've got like a control board. I've got a control board from an American company, I think, called Open Builds.
Okay.
They do have a reseller in the UK. But one option is to offer, just have affiliate links in the guide. And then I'll just get a cut every time someone clicks on that and buys the component. Or do I package everything up so it's kind of ready to go, and people would just need to buy extruded aluminium basically, and then go for it.
So I definitely got some ideas. For one is like, I think based off of you and your just kind of like your brand, your vibe, your style, like you probably attract a certain type of person, right? And so for most of the folks that are on the podcast, they're just trying to sell, more tables and more furniture or more contracting projects. And so for me, I would look at you as like a brand. And so I put brands through different sort of processes. One is like understanding who your audience is and understanding them intimately and knowing what their problems are. And it seems like you've solved 2 problems so far, right? And then I would build a brand, which you have, but then I would flesh out the brand a little bit more. Meaning, you remember when you did creative graphic design, there were like strategy briefs and creative briefs and that sort of stuff. So like, I would flesh out mission, vision, values, long-term goals, just to get super clear on the brand voice, because I actually believe like it is the aesthetic and the unique products that you came out with so far are just like, they're like there, you know what I mean? And then I would build an audience around it and build a community, and having the community all in one spot that you can communicate with. And then I would do a series of mini launches, right? So whether it is mini launches, get feedback, and then just maybe take like the slow approach towards it, right? So, and then I do like for the router, I do like the idea of selling the like the how-to guides, like the digital download guides with affiliate links. That's one angle. The other part too is, this isn't going to come out for a while, but like if you do that, somebody sort of figures out, they go through it, they build it, and then they're like, you know what, I could build this myself. I'm in Canada, Western Canada. I can build my own thing. So for me, it's like I would have a test group of people that are building it themselves, get feedback, and then I would quickly turn around and launch an all-in-one product.
Right. Yep.
That's what I would do. Right. Yep. And so, and then, product, branding, packaging, distribution. Yeah. But that's what I would do. Mm-hmm. Is that helpful to hear?
Yeah. No, definitely. That's the way to do it. It's bolshy, it's bold, but and it would be all consuming to get it to that level. But you're right. If you start slow and it snowball, like I've done with the edge sanders, I didn't think that would go anywhere. I thought I'd sell a few and then it had kind of died down, but I just started the Instagram account and it just keeps ticking, and then get a couple of sales a day on the side, and it just and then I got this deal with this Canadian guy that we're talking about. So, and distributors I just had an order for 20 going to Lithuania yesterday.
Wow.
And just so it's not going away.
Yeah.
And I've just I just called it. I slapped together the website and kind of just thought, right, that can just sit on the side. But it's it definitely opens your mind to different business models, and it makes you learn about business quicker than any woodworking selling tables to anyone. It's different strategies. But I think with this idea that I've got for this automation, I definitely see a pre-packaged complete product at the end of it. As long as it's affordable, because it's you're basically in between like a full-fledged CNC machine or manual. It's basically 2-axis CNC.
For sure. And it has to be collapsible too. You know that, right? Like it's got to be like boom, boom. And because I almost see it being perfect for small spaces. Like it is the product for garage folks.
That's
because then the selling point could be like, hey, you can save yourself, $15-$20 an hour times 20 hours. You save that $600, that $1,500 a month by investing in this. That'll make you more profitable so that you can scale up to the next level. You know what I mean?
100%. And it's I think the word CNC scares a lot of woodworkers. They're like, oh, I don't want a machine doing or it's too much computer work for them, whereas I've really simplified this and it makes it totally accessible. You don't have to run any CAM software or anything. You can just load the G code. I found a
user interface
online wizard that generates the G code. You put in the parameters, which would be another great thing if you could put the parameters in on the machine and then it went automatically. That would be next level. So I'd have to get into some programming to do that. But but it is the way I've designed it. It's so simple. It does lift off, and it's multi-use. I'm looking at it now. It's hanging. I don't know if you can see. It's hanging there. So that's the unit. So it just lifts off, and then it goes on like a frame, which is under here. Just extruded aluminium. So it's all this in mind, and I think I'll just kind of develop that as I go and start chipping away at the online guide, and then kind of take it from there. Really, just I'll let it be a bit of a slow burner, a slow starter, and then I think it's got legs.
That's cool, man.
Every woodworker should have access to it, because it is a game changer for me, having a machine that can sand for you. Of course, people have access to wide belt sanders and stuff, but or big drum sanders, but they're all running. Most of them are running, down the grain, and you still need to finish sand. But I
But with this one thing, then you can do everything basically.
Yeah, and it's exactly, and it's random orbit, and you can basically sand up to whatever grit you want to go to, 2000 grit for a polished surface.
That's awesome. Cool, man. Hey, so why don't you tell everybody your website, Instagram?
So the handles are Iluka London, ILUKA London, and Iluka Tools on Instagram, and the websites are .com. Iluka Tools and Iluka London.
Awesome.
So I had them.
Dan, thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story and sharing your beautiful work. Everybody go and check out Iluka London to see how it's done.
Yeah.
It's so cool, man. All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Steve. Nice chatting.
All right. Bye.
Ciao.
Hey.
Hey.
Cool. Thank you so much for that.
Pleasure, man. Thanks for reaching out.